Over 4 years ago, in October 2018, Parc Asterix announced a massive Intamin multi-launch coaster called Toutatis. Finally, after a few delays and minor changes, Toutatis is opening this spring, with a POV released on March 23, 2023. This Intamin looks fantastic, but could it be better than Pantheon and an even harder challenge, the best in Europe? Here's my full analysis of the POV released for Toutatis at Parc Asterix. Let's jump straight into the POV analysis. This behemoth of a roller coaster starts from the very well-themed station before diving into the first launch trench. Similar to Pantheon, Toutatis starts with a booster launch into an inversion before entering the main shuttle launch. However, Toutatis' beginning looks much stronger than Pantheon's. After a sharp whip from the pretty speedy launch, riders enter an extremely slow 0G stall, providing more hang time than Pantheon's 0G winder. This element provides some good whip in and hang time on the ending half. Afterward, the train dives out in a low-to-the-ground turn before heading through two faster outer bank turns than Pantheon. These turns will definitely be unique to the experience. These are some of the only outer banks in Europe, the other main ones being on Untamed and kind of Ride to Happiness. These won't be too powerful, but will provide sustained laterals. The ride dives down into another themed trench. Don't worry, we'll talk about theming later, before popping into the main shuttle launch on the ride. After turning over the switch track, Toutatis launches aggressively over the airtime hill. To me, for some reason, this launch looks much more aggressive than Pantheon's, even though this one reaches 66 mph. After launching, the train falls backwards down the steep top hat, providing maximum floater airtime before heading through the launch trench backwards and over the hill. Once the train rolls forward again, Toutatis rockets through the airtime hill and up the top hat to a height of 166 feet. This top hat is not only massive, but also has a 101-degree drop, making for a super aggressive ejector moment for riders in the back cars. Now we get into the meat of the coaster. After the valley, the train immediately pops up in a subtle ejector moment before whipping through an S-bend at over 60 mph, a whippy and lateral-filled moment. The train rises up to the highlight inversion, a whippier but not as sustained 0G stall that looks nearly identical to Pantheon's. As the train exits, it enters what looks to be the most positive-filled part of the coaster, with a weird hump in the middle, almost like an RMC off-axis hill. This will provide some weird lateral and negative Gs before slamming back into the tight turn. This tight turn whips out and leads into the strongest airtime hill on the ride, with similar shaping to El Toro's Rolling Thunder Hill. As the train experiences some of the strongest negatives, it levels back out into a rapid-fire S-bend. These transitions, especially with lap bars, are going to be insane. If Pantheon's transitions weren't good enough, these are whippier and faster, a common theme with this ride. Compared to Pantheon, Toutatis looks much more compact and has better pacing overall. After Intamin's signature wall stall, which provides weird hanging laterals like RMC's wave turn, Toutatis dives low to the ground around an unfinished structure. This looks to be a theming element, so we'll talk about that next. Now we enter the grand finale of this insane coaster, a super low to the ground roll that could potentially be the sequel to the infamous Mosasaurus roll seen on Velocicoaster. It whips riders through very quickly before sharply turning into a quick overbank turn, another lateral filled element. Finally, Toutatis takes a very quick double up into the brake run, concluding with a Phantom Revenge-like element. How I see Toutatis is a combination of every iconic coaster's best work. Phantom Revenge and El Toro-like airtime, Maverick-like transitions, Outlaw Run-like inversions and stalls, and all around just a fantastic ride. Pantheon, in my opinion, is a warm-up to this ride. It's a little slower in pacing, not as whippy, and overall just looks like the inferior version to the newer Toutatis. Now let's talk about some theming. The first thing I noticed was the trenches, and I think that's the most obvious theming here. The trenches have huge stones surrounding them, with other wooden planks covering the tops. The second trench even has a stone tunnel near the airtime hill, providing both a near miss and a great theming moment. Even better, the walkways. The tunnel I mentioned acts as a bridge for the entrance and exit ramps, creating a great viewing platform. And you can see the exits and entrances have medieval and old wooden supports and railings, really driving the theme forward. You can even see the actual plaza on the tip of the backward spike. The plaza has a great viewing point of the spikes, bridges into the station, and overall the dark red paths fit great with the colors of the area. Both Toutatis and the very nearby Trece de Hura, hopefully I pronounced that right, are dark red, the bobsled coaster right over the top of Toutatis, a fantastic design choice by the park. In addition to all this, the buildings nearby, the station, and one purposely incomplete one that Toutatis wraps around look like fantastic theming elements. The station looks like a rock structure, which looks fantastic in the area. Toutatis looks like one of the best themed rides in the park and quite possibly the world. And for a ride this good already, it really gives it potential for the best coaster in the continent. So what are my overall thoughts on Toutatis? I think that this ride could be the best in Europe for some people. For me, my favorite would probably be the chaotic Ride to Happiness, but Toutatis looks better themed than most European coasters, excluding some of the German parks, and also looks like it could be the best launch-focused coaster on the continent. Toutatis, compared to Pantheon, looks much better paced and overall a whippier and more intense coaster. In addition to the unique layout, the theming of the ride just looks fantastic, especially with all the on-ride moments. Toutatis could definitely be one of the best coasters out there, and I can't wait to hear people's thoughts. Thank you so much for watching this shorter video. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Comment what you think of Toutatis and have a great rest of your day.